Daredevil's the name. Distraction's my game. And if I don't make it, it's been a real slice of heaven, gang. Hang loose, heroes.
Hello everyone, thanks so much for joining me here today as we get to talk about one of my favorite subjects, comic books. My name is Jose. I love comic books. I love talking about them. I love sharing them with you. Feel free to follow me on social media if you would like. Links are in the description below. I'll also post a link to the issues that we're going to cover today. So these are older videos that I am re-editing and gonna put into one video essentially, and we're going to be doing Frank Miller run on Daredevil before he took over as writer, where he was sort of co-plotter with David McKenzie. So we'll be doing Daredevil 158 through 167, but I'm also going to include Peter Parker's Spectacular Spider-Man 27 through 28, which is Frank Miller's very first time drawing Daredevil. So this would be sort of what would have been included in Daredevil by Frank Miller volume number 1, which is his very early stuff. So thanks for watching. Like, follow, and subscribe. And I do thank you for listening. So we're going to be looking at 2 issues today. We're going to be looking at Peter Parker, the Spectacular Spider-Man 27 and 28 from 1978. Why are we looking at these 2 particular issues? Well, Frank Miller drew them. Now, he does not do the cover. The cover is done by Dave Cockrum, which you would probably know from the X-Men, but it's a very solid cover. And it's a very early Frank Miller. You can see here as guest penciler. He's providing the pencils. This is the second parter, okay? So we're going to look at parts 2 and 3. I did not do part 1. It doesn't matter. We're here just to look at the Frank Miller portion of it. So Spider-Man is blind, and Daredevil, who was a guest star in the previous issue, is trying to help him overcome the blindness here. This is before Frank Miller took over as writer-artist in Daredevil, so this is probably his first drawing of Daredevil. So Frank Miller was developing his skills, but even back then, look at this, the wide panels that he composes all the time. Here they are. So really good with the wide panels. So Spider-Man, of course, is upset. He can't see. Daredevil is trying to help him. Spider-Man doesn't want help, but he's, like I said, he's blind. He was blinded in the previous issue, by the main villain of that. His name will come up. So Spider-Man is falling, and Daredevil is gonna catch him. So like I said, this is very early Frank Miller. So I think it's called the Masked Marauder, if I remember correctly. I don't know how many appearances this guy has, but Spider-Man's lashing out. He doesn't want help, but Daredevil's like, maybe there's a cure. Let's just. Spider-Man thinks he's done, and I wish they wouldn't have said the Amazing Spider-Man. I wish they would have said the Spectacular Spider-Man. I think that would have been an ode to this book. So Spider-Man, like I said, he's lashing out because he can't see. He doesn't know Daredevil is blind, so Daredevil is gonna make a call to a Dr. Orlock, who helped him when he was gone blind. So we're kind of gonna go through his origin quickly here about his senses and all that. So we do that there. So Daredevil called him and says that he has a patient. I love this. A doctor smoking. It is the 70s. So here we have a brief with Mary Jane and a friend. I think it's could be Betty Brant. I am not too sure, but they're having a talk, but right now we're not really gonna concern ourselves with it. So we're just gonna kind of go through what we're trying to do is just look at Frank Miller's art with a little bit as to what's going on. So they're gonna go to this Dr. Orlock's apartment here, or not apartment, his clinic, and he's like, they should have been here by now, and his nurse is like, oh, they're here because they're behind them. So um he's gonna take a look at his eyes to see how he has and it says that the that it's temporary blindness, and the fibers in the optic, they seem to be whole and recuperating. So but he needs to rest, but he can't because he's upset because the that mass marauder who blinded him is still out there, and he needs to um find them. Also, his ankle is hurt. So, again, he's just lashing out. And so, um, Spider Man still wants to find him. Um, I love, this kind of inkers really are good on Frank Miller here. So, um, he's like I said, he's super frustrated, and so he almost falls off the cliff. Love how they used to just do the web back in the day. So this is the Mass Marauder, who's a member of the Magia. Um, Look it up in the description below. Like I said, I posted a link to the story using the Marvel Wiki. So you can look up who these characters were and a little bit as to what the story was going on. Like the part that I missed, like for example, Betty and Mary Jane both have feelings for Peter, is kind of what they were talking about. So all that is in the description beneath for both stories. So Daredevil's gonna help him find him, and he's going to use his radar sense to see if he can. I believe Spider-Man put the tracker on him. I think Daredevil's using his radar sense. So, and let's see here. So the Mass Marauder is calling the mayor of New York here. So he introduces this called the Tri-Man. He's like a human transformer, I guess, or like I don't know, a robot of some kind. But he can turn into a nuclear warhead armed with a plutonium. So this goes all the way to 24. Like I said, none of those issues are covered. So feel free to look in the description below. But he's basically telling him, he's going to destroy New York if he doesn't get what he wants. But Daredevil comes in to try and stop him. They tackle him down. You see this so much with when Frank Miller's does this Daredevil. So the Tri-Man's going to take off and is going to push Peter through. And remember, he's blind. So all right, so we're going to go straight to number 28. And this is a cover by Keith Pollard. So Frank Miller did not do either cover. Like I said, in the description below, I got some links to the Marvel wiki and linking the actual stories, so you can actually take a look. So Bill, like same creative team, Bill Mantlo. By the way, if you don't know much about Bill Mantlo, he was involved in a hit and run. You can search him on Wikipedia. They've never caught his guy, but unfortunately, he was severely injured in that hit and run. So Very tragic. And I think his brother has a GoFundMe. He is still alive, I believe. So, um, Bill Mantlo did a lot of stuff um, during the 70s and early 80s. So he was able to use his spider sense and hearing um, to make sure he landed on top of him or the web. So and he's going to aim it himself into the fight to go help Daredevil. So meanwhile, in the on the TV, the mayor can see the fight that's going on. So Frank Miller does this a lot. This is such a trope of his. Um, Instead of drawing all these different panels, just one big panel with all these different things. So even then, his composition, this is, like I said, his very early work, and that composition of his, absolutely amazing. So um, he is very, very, very good. Um, it's unbelievable that he becomes such a superstar. So he's going to try and blind Daredevil because he doesn't know that Daredevil's already blind. So, meanwhile, Spider-Man's going to try to stop this nuclear warhead because it's always a nuclear warhead. He sees that it's ticking, so he knows that it's a bomb. He doesn't know it's a hydrogen bomb. That's what an H bomb is, if you don't know. So, and so Daredevil throws his billy club at the Marauder and hits him and unmasks him, and he is going to he hits him momentarily. He's gonna um, send a signal to blow it, but real quick before I turn the page, again with the vertical panels, that's Todd McFarlane does a lot of these vertical panels. I don't know whether he got it from Frank Miller or not, but it's very interesting to see vertical panels because most people do horizontal or straight. You just don't see very many people compose with vertical panels. I think that in itself takes another layer of skill. And there's another Frank Miller Spider-Man that we are going to eventually look at that is a lot of vertical panels. Spider-Man's going to try and destroy this bomb. And remember, nuclear weapons only blow up when they're supposed to, so you can actually destroy the warhead without making the bomb blow up. So when he goes to press the button, nothing happened. And it's funny because that would have destroyed him too, because if he would have been in the blast zone. So Daredevil then defeats him, and here comes Spider-Man. So he's still hanging on, and he slows down and he jumps off. So I don't think that his sight has quite returned, but they tell him to freeze, and Daredevil helps him, and he tells him that that the Magia was the one that was responsible, and tells Spider-Man that it's over, and offers his hand. And suddenly, then he can start seeing again. So, they're saying that the Daily Bugle is the one that says that he's the murderer. So, but they decide not to do anything. So we go back into the apartment. If you remember, I kind of had glanced over and just told you a little bit of just kind of passed it on because we're not going to be looking at this all of this. So we were just concentrating on the story. That's kind of why I just kind of just moving through. So the police are in the apartment from the stuff from last issue, and Spider-Man's coming in and he sees everybody, so he grabs his clothes and changes into Peter and comes in and you know, they're kind of asking questions and stuff. So we're just gonna kind of move it along because again, we're not concerned with any of this. Feel free to go into the description below, like I said, and you're more than welcome to kind of find out. We're just doing these two stories here in particular because they're done by Frank Miller. Frank Miller does not do the entire thing, so we're, like I said, we're just looking at these two here. So, and this person here is called Carry On. So there we go. So we are going to be looking at Daredevil 158 and 159. These are Frank Miller's first two issues of Daredevil. Now, he did not write these issues. He is the penciler of these issues. And from here on, he will eventually, of course, become the writer and the penciler. But right now, just the penciler. Now, this is not Frank Miller's first work on Daredevil, believe it or not. He actually did Spectacular Spider-Man, I believe it was 27 and 28, which featured Daredevil, and he did that, I believe, the same year. And I have those videos already. I've already done it, so you can feel free to check them out. You can feel free to follow me on social media. I'm on Twitter, Instagram, and even Pinterest because I love Pinterest. It's one of my most favorite. I just share my artwork, and on Pinterest, I actually pin a lot of work from a lot of the artists that I love, like Frank Miller, Jim Lee, Todd McFarlane, etc. So, got lots of pins out there. Lovely work here. You can see that the Zipatone that is here with the in the background, and another Zipatone here, and more here. So it's pretty cool. Pretty cool tool. So, like I said, he is not the writer in this, and we've got Roger McKenzie, Klaus Janson, and then, of course, Frank Miller. And they're still using the Marvel thing of rambling and kinky and lanky. So we're picking up basically in the middle of a story. So this is the Black Widow here, and then here's Foggy Nelson on the ground there, and then these are the Annie Men, and they're kidnapping Matt Murdock. Very cool. Even from the beginning, you can definitely see Frank Miller from the very beginning. Him and his partner Klaus Janson, absolutely great. So, like I said, this is their first issue together. And so, like I said, they're trying to take Matt, and they manage to stop the Birdman, but the Ape Man and the Catman do get away with Matt. Klaus Janson is such a master artist in his own right. And I do love him as an inker. I truly do. I think he is great. And he fits so well with a lot of different artists like John Romita Jr., Frank Miller, of course. What I love about it here is the Night Stalker, I believe. It says the Death Stalker is his name. So, and for some reason, like I said, we're picking up in the middle. And for some reason, he wants to kill Matt. So why he wants Matt dead will be explained here in a little bit here. So he used to be this B-list villain known as the Exterminator who fought Daredevil. And it says here back in Daredevil 41 in 1968, so a long time ago. And he destroyed this time displacement ray and sent him through, he was hurled through space-time. He eventually became the Deathstalker, stole a device from AIM, and a cybernetic death grip of some kind. And the original Ani-Men died here in Iron Man 116. So he hired some new people to be the Ani-Men, and wanted him to kidnap Matt Murdock. And he gets a little upset because, they're or not upset, but he turns around while they're counting the money and kills the two of them. Matt, of course, freed himself, and Deathstalker know that he's Daredevil, so Daredevil changes in front of him, uses his radar sense, and so the two then sort of start fighting. This was also one of the very first issues of Daredevil that I had, and I had it as a kid, but like a lot of kids, I ended up losing this. So I do have this in a trade paperback, but I don't have it in the original issues. I have a lot of the Frank Millers in individual issues, but not this one. So he wants to, of course, kill Daredevil as revenge. And so Frank Miller does this a lot. And if you look at my video for the Spectacular Spider-Man 2 issues that he did, you'll see this very same thing. And so Daredevil can't really hit him. And he turns off the light as if that was eliminating the entire cemetery. But regardless, he can't see him, the Deathstalker. So Daredevil, of course, is blind, so he doesn't need the light, and is able to hit him. He can hit him, so he can make himself, you can face him or through him when he knows you're coming, but if he doesn't know you're about to hit him or anything like that, he doesn't have time to unphase himself. Similar to, I guess, like Shadowcat. And he thinks he got Daredevil, and of course it wasn't. Daredevil, of course, hits him again. And he falls through this thing, or through the tombstone. And he is going to launch at him, but he is stuck inside that tombstone and materializes half in and half out, so he ends up dying. When I was, so this came out in 79, so I must have, I don't know how, because I was too young. In 1979, I would have been 5 years old. I don't think I was reading comic books at 5 years old. So I don't know how I picked it up, but I was still very young. So I remember this part just freaking me out with with Deathstalker there. And so we're back, and he's back in the office, and everyone is okay. And this is his cane that he uses for his billy clubs. And she, I think, has a crush on Matt, but she, of course, knows that Matt is he thinks it's Natasha, so he says Natasha, thinking it's her, but it wasn't. And because she's in a wheelchair, she thinks that she doesn't have a chance at him. So we go to the next one now, Daredevil 159. Another great cover here. Miller and Janson signed it right there in the... And so with this one, one of the really cool things that they did back in the day is right at the top, just kind of give everybody a little recap of who it is. So we start with a bit of a prologue here. And here you can see on the balloons that there's a group of people talking about final terms of a contract. They wanted him to study this film clip of Daredevil that they had. This person, there's a person here, a Mr. Poindexter, who's hired. He's going to hire people. He's going to give $200,000 up front, and then an additional $300,000 after the job is completed. So they want Daredevil killed. And as this old guy here must be like a mob boss or something, they go, "You must hate Daredevil very much." And he just says yes. So, and of course here we have our credits with Roger McKenzie, the writer, Frank Miller, the penciler, Klaus Janson, the inker. So we pick up then later in the afternoon, the day after the last issue, where they're interviewing him because they attempted to kidnap him and the 3 people that had died. They're kind of just giving you a recap. Here's Ben Urich. At this time, Ben Urich does not know who he is. So Ben is like, something's up, and he doesn't quite know, but he's going to try and investigate Matt. So Matt arrives to court and asks for a postponement of the hearing. These two. So this is Turk. He's he appears quite a bit. So that's Turk here. Anyway, he's asking for a postponement of the hearing. The judge does grant him a week. And here you can say he doesn't like Murdoch and that the guilty must pay. And so they take the cab to their clinic. And people here are like, you can see they've all been waiting for him. And they're like, Foggy's like, "What's wrong?" And he's like, "Oh, probably nothing." But again, he's Daredevil, so he knows that he can hear things. So we now see that the thugs are all on him. So they're basically here. They grab him and tell him that they know Daredevil does work for his free clinic, and they want to give him a message that Mr. Slaughter wants to see him and gives him an address. Of course, Daredevil knows that it's Eric Slaughter and wonders what's up. So Foggy's like, "What was that about?" And then Matt, of course, is gone. So Daredevil's going to go to the pier, just kind of to see what's going on. This panel here, I really, like I said, and I've said it before on the Spectacular Spider-Man video, Frank Miller's ability on vertical panels is amazing. Only Todd McFarlane, I think, is better at making vertical panels. So most people do these horizontal panels, but not very many people do verticals. I think it's great to study them because it's amazing. So he's using his radar sense. He knows that everybody is gathered, all the people that are gathered there, and he wonders why Slaughter would do this. Where's the profit in putting a hit on him? That, he just doesn't get it. So he's going to try and get rid of everybody. The early use of black with Frank Miller, very cool. So throws his billy club. I love the guy was carrying a sword. Goodness, that's awesome. So lands in the water. They're shooting. He's getting away. This poor guy probably drowns. And so Daredevil comes from behind them, asking, who set him up. He's going to take care of each one. Here's Turk. Daredevil is just dispatching everybody. When the gun goes off, of course, he's got super sensitive hearing, so it rings his ears very painfully. And so this guy here is waiting, and it was Daredevil. He's like, I won't say anything, and he fires at Daredevil. Daredevil, of course, smacks the bullet so it doesn't hit him, and says who did it. And of course the Poindexter's right here. He takes that oh my goodness, I really don't know what these things are called. They're like a flotation device. I don't know. Regardless, he throws it at the guy and it snaps his neck. He doesn't want him to talk. He's got, he still has plans for Daredevil. And Daredevil, with the radar sense, knows someone's getting away and is recording him. But he doesn't know why. And of course, he hired Slaughter so that he could have a chance to record him, because he wants to study his moves, his mannerism, his fighting skills, and then he's going to prove that he's better than him, and he's going to break his girlfriend, who is the Black Widow. At least that's what Bullseye thinks, and that's who that Poindexter was. So before we quit, there is a page that they would do in the 60s and 70s, kind of like little things like about, this one is dealing with his club and how the cane works and all the stuff that was in there. So yeah, we're going to be looking at Daredevil 160 and 161 from 1979. This is drawn by Frank Miller. I have already covered the previous Frank Miller Daredevil issues, so you can search on my videos. Just do a search for Daredevil. By this time, I may have already a playlist, but if I don't have a playlist, just search Daredevil on my channel, and you will see the other videos that I have already done. I'm planning on covering the entire Frank Miller Daredevil run, so hopefully you enjoy these. On the description below, I have links to my social media. I just post my art. That's it. No opinions, no nothing. Just my drawings. And also, I have a link to the Marvel fan site and the Daredevil issues where you can just kind of take a look and see they do synopsis of the issues, sort of what's going on. So give that a look. So right here we get a cover with Bullseye, and if you remember, Bullseye was the hidden villain on our previous issue, and here you see him with the Black Widow. She's sort of he sort of seems to have a drop on her, and if you take a look here, you won't see this anymore, but he's hanging her with the blow dryer. So stuff that you could do back then that you probably can't do now. So here we go. So we start with an epilogue instead of a prologue. So I think this means that we're starting in the end. So first of all, we're going to look at this vertical panel here. Frank Miller's really good at these vertical panels. We have the Black Widow going into her home and then getting ready for the night. And you can see here that Bullseye is here, and you can see him love the inking of Klaus Janson. I don't know whether this is a picture of some kind and they just blew it up and made it messy, but and so he goes and attacks the Black Widow. Of course, the Black Widow is seems to be outmatched here. She kind of runs and then gets like leaps back, but he seems to be able to he throws the vase. You can see him holding it in his hand and then throws it at her. So he seems to be able to sort of beat her. I mean, she's not putting up much of a fight, and of course he wraps that cord on her and tries to strangle her, but she gets loose. Again, some more vertical panels that Miller's very good at. And there's a little statue of Daredevil, and she ends up hitting it. Now you can see him, he's getting something out of his glove, throws it at him or at her, and hits the chandelier, and you can see it here falling on her. And then he grabs a knife, but it's not for her. It's for it's a note for Daredevil, and he throws it at the wall, and she's gonna be a bait for him, and will be springing the trap. So we start here with a funeral, and Matt Murdock is here, and we have our credits. So it's not a funeral. That's my bad. It's she's just visiting her her father, and this is Heather Glenn, who is Matt's love interest, and you know, she's here talking to him. She knows that Matt is Daredevil, and she says that you know, when her father needed him, he was always too busy playing Daredevil to help him. And she says, Matt, promise me you won't let that happen again. And of course, he won't answer her. Now, another thing that's really cool here, if you take a look here, they're actually whispering. So they're not really talking, but this is how they would show whispers. But because of the rain, you can't really kind of tell on the panels. But this is how they would show that someone is whispering, by having the panels or the little thing kind of cutting. So I love all the zipatone that Klaus Janson uses here. So Matt, and this is kind of hard. Frank Miller does a lot of vertical panels, so we don't see the entire thing the way that. So I do apologize for that. Just he does so many vertical panels. But the zipatone by Klaus Janson is very cool. Anyway, he says he has certain responsibilities. Basically, he can't stop being Daredevil, and you can see there that she's giving him the cold shoulder. This is the way that they would let you know that the person is speaking with a bit of a I don't know, attitude, you could say. And here she's smacking him because she doesn't like the answer. So anyway, these are Daredevil's allies or Matt's allies. This is Foggy Nelson, and then in the wheelchair is Becky Blake, and I think this is Deborah Harris is her name. So Becky wants to go help him, but um, you know, Foggy tells him that he probably rather be alone. And then now we can see that Tom's time has passed. I love the shadow here of Daredevil, so we can see that this is Matt. He's also holding the cane here. He's saying, "I hate being alone." So he very cool here, very good. I mean, this is early in Frank Miller's run, and this dude was going to definitely be a superstar. So again, another vertical panel over here. We're just gonna take a look here, and he's like, I wish I love this part. I wish Heather and I could have made or could have been more like that couple. They don't seem to have a care in the world. And of course that's Peter Parker and Mary Jane, or at least that's who they're supposed to be. So and then Matt's just thinking about, the promise he made his dad, and being successful as both Daredevil and Matt Murdock, and he wishes he had someone to talk to. And then he thinks of the Black Widow, Natasha. He says, I haven't seen her for several days, and breaks apart his cane to form the Billy Clubs, puts on his costume. Is gonna go see her. So he has a skylight here that he uses, and there's some dialogue, but it's all right. It's so writers could make themselves feel worth, because you could have just done this part silently because you didn't need descriptions. But Daredevil, again, some more vertical panels that Frank Miller just does better than anyone else. Todd McFarlane does them good. So Matt calls out for the Black Widow, says the window was open, and then uses his radar sense and sees that the place is in a disarray. So Daredevil, with his senses, he's got that little radar sense, and he feels the little newspaper clip that he left or whatever. He picks it up, and he is able to determine what it is just by using his fingers, because he's so sensitive he can see the image through the ink. I know, it's comic books though. We don't overthink things, and Daredevil knows something happened to the Black Widow. Great panel. Frank Miller, good. He's so good. So, all right. So he's at the Daily Bugle talking to Ben Urich, and he asks if there's anything about Bullseye. And Ben at this time does not know that Daredevil is Matt Murdock, but he is suspicious. But he's suspicious, but like I said, does not know at this time. So he says, he was arraigned for 6 counts of murders, taken to a psychiatric, and where he was a model prisoner. But 4 days ago, he was talking to one of the psychiatrists then about his father, and they said that his father beat him till he was 14. The doctor asked what happened to him, and then he goes, I killed him, and he grabs him from behind. I think he's using the microphone to that they would record the sessions, and escapes, grabs a nurse hostage, and gets out. And Daredevil pulls the Batman and escapes. And he puts in another file where he has it here. So you got this part, under M for Murdoch. So he is suspicious, like I said, that he is Daredevil. So he's gonna do some undercover work and go to this Josie's Grill, this bar that's kind of seedy. Wants to know about Bullseye and offers this guy money. Wants to know why the Eric Slaughter, who was the guy, he from the previous issue, um, and the guy's like, hushing him, don't be so loud. This is Turk, who is quite the. He is a backup character throughout all of Frank Miller's run. And so these people all say, what do you want with know about Mr. Slaughter and all that stuff? So um, Daredevil uses the distraction of the lady here with the gun to kind of fight them all. Love the choreography that Miller uses. And I love the part where the TV, there's like a wrestling match, so it's narrating the fight in a sense. And even here, people just kind of turned on each other. Typical kind of bar fight where people just start fighting. Daredevil uses his billy clubs there. Frank Miller already, he's still relatively new and is able to create quite the scenery here. Another vertical panel. He says he knows there's a contract out for him, which he doesn't like. Asks how much Bullseye's paying for his, and the guy's like, more than your life is worth. And so they grab him in, but Daredevil fights out of it. And then he wants Turk to know that when he finds Bullseye, to tell him that Daredevil is coming. So that ends this issue. So now we're going to go to 161, another great cover by Frank Miller. And there, of course, is the Black Widow as the helpless damsel. So this is a roller coaster that's coming to go run her over, apparently. Very, if you remember from older cartoons, how they would put the damsel in the middle of the railroad track, and then the hero had to save her before the train came. So it's kind of a play on that. So more Zipatones by Klaus Janson here. So we start out in Coney Island in Brooklyn. And again with the vertical panels. So Turk is basically running to go tell the Slaughter that Daredevil is after them. And there's a Mr. Slaughter here. Of course, Daredevil followed Turk. And Daredevil asks him, what's up and why are they trying to kill him? And he says, my business is murder. So Daredevil's trying to find Bullseye, so he deals with Slaughter's henchmen. Love this from Miller, just kind of a flow of the action. Again, just how he choreographs the action. He is so good. So he can sense Bullseye is somewhere in that tower. So he's climbing up. Again, I'm just showing this panel here. Look at this. Man, Frank Miller. I know that we're used to seeing him in Sin City doing all the blacks, but man, this dude can draw. And so here's some of Slaughter's men. He's using his radar sense here. Again, look at the leap. And Miller's just showing you all in that one panel. And just incredible stuff. So, and of course, through the speaker is Bullseye. And of course, there's the Black Widow. What a great composition. Look at all these vertical panels. Just wow. So Daredevil's making his way to the Black Widow. and they're shooting, and then here comes, hear the clack, 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 clack of the roller coaster, and he lets her, and there she goes, falling to her death. Boom. Only it was a dummy. And Bullseye says somehow he knew, but it doesn't change anything, and here's the real Black Widow as she stole the bait. So I just, I understand, but when you see kind of what the Black Widow is now, or how she's shown, seeing her here kind of as the weak damsel in distress, it just doesn't, because she's supposed to be this top level assassin, but here she is, just can't take on a bunch of goons. So we get a brief interlude here, and this man here's nicknamed KO, and he's works at this gym, boxing gym, and he's basically asking about Matt Murdock's dad, and asking about Matt Murdock when he was young, and then of course the nickname that he had as a kid, where the kids called him Daredevil. So Ben is beginning to have his suspicions raised even more. So a couple more vertical panels here. So Daredevil's chasing Turk, wants to know where Bullseye is. Turk tells him in the arcade. So we got this guy that throws knives, and Bullseye says, don't play games, get it over with. I want her dead before Daredevil gets here. And this is more the Black Widow that we know of, saying, they think I'm helpless, but I'm the Black Widow. And Bullseye says, knows what she's trying to do. Of course, he's making her aim to the rope, so she frees herself and fights and disposes of one of the guy. Now Bullseye comes, but here comes Daredevil. So, who grabs him, and off they go. Daredevil kicks him and punches him. Great, showing him hit. Very cool. And so the Black Widow thinks about how she's never seen Matt so ruthless and angry. Daredevil throws the ball, hits him, but Daredevil recovers, throws the billy club. He tells him, I've beaten you before. He catches the billy club and says, that's exactly why you're going to die. He feels disrespected, and he hasn't forgotten about that, and throws the billy club back at him, and hits him again. And Daredevil punches back, and then grabs him, and then hits him again. And Bullseye's just impressed that Daredevil just doesn't give up. So Bullseye, of course, grabs that gun, and he aims it at him. But Bullseye is almost scared of Daredevil. So asks him if he's going to shoot him. Come on, if you think you can stop me, etc. And, he's just shaking in fear. And tells Slaughter that he'll double the contract if they kill him. Everybody aims, but he says no. Daredevil's earned my respect, and he doesn't trust him to pay up anyway. And he gets angry and all that, but then he's like, oh, Daredevil, don't hurt me. So he's sort of weakened and gives up. And he's having a mental breakdown, essentially. And then before Daredevil leaves, Slaughter tells him next time it'll be different. And Daredevil says, count on. Last time we left off, we did the Bullseye two-parter. And so now we have the Incredible Hulk here for 163. And I love this cover. Daredevil and the Hulk are not two characters that you normally see together. Um, I think there's only been a few team ups that they've done. So this is not something. So again, great cover by Frank Miller and Klaus Janson. So again, feel free to check out the Marvel database link that I have there, and it'll give you a plot synopsis of this. So we start out at a fundraiser for political candidates. It's $100 a plate in the '70s. So goodness gracious, what would that be now? $1,000 a plate or whatever. Always politicians. They tax us, and then you also have to fund their campaigns. They're talking about the Hulk in New York, and here's J. Jonah Jameson, and here's Tony Stark talking, and then the judge here. This is one of the judges. So they're talking about a lawyer that represents the Hulk can't think. So of course Matt is a lawyer that did represent the Hulk. So, and then of course you got a priest and a rabbi here making a joke, because hey, those are always the joke. Here's Matt's ex-girlfriend, Heather. Oh, I forgot her name. You can look her up. Heather Glenn. And she and her boyfriend are here. I love this. No backgrounds, no nothing, just the white of the white background here. She's introducing to the new boyfriend who's into disco. This was the tail end. Disco was dying by this time here. So, and then he goes to shake the hand, and you can see Matt kind of going, oh, like he can hear something. You can see him thinking, oh no. And then, of course, they don't know that he's Daredevil. So he leaves and doesn't shake his hand, which they think is rude. But it's rather rude that she was trying to make him jealous. That's actually what the rude part is, because the ex-girlfriend's bringing in the new boyfriend. So Matt goes outside and realizes, using his senses, that the Hulk is loose in New York. And Foggy asks if everything's okay, between him and Heather, and he knows they still have feelings. He says he could use a stiff drink, so Foggy's gonna go get him. Once Foggy leaves, Matt jumps off the building, and I love the vertical panels. Frank Miller is so good at vertical panels. Uses his cane to the flagpole. Foggy comes out, but Matt's not there. And Matt goes looking for the Hulk using his radar sense. And of course, the Hulk asks what he wants. And Matt says he's there to help you. And of course, we get our credits. I love when they put the credits in other than the first page, when the credits are kind of, a few pages in, or even in the last page. Those are always kind of cool. So Roger McKenzie is the scripter. Frank Miller, although not noted here, he is the co-plotter. Klaus Janson only inks the first 2 pages. Joseph Rubinstein is actually the inker for most of everything that we see here. And then, of course, we got our editors. So Matt tells him, can't stay here if he found you, so will others. They'll bring guns, they'll be tanks. They think that you're a monster. Hulk tells him that he is a monster and just grabs him. And it's just always funny. And leave me alone. Hulk is tired of running. Hulk doesn't want help. Hulk doesn't need help. And tosses Matt out. And then Matt says, not even banners. And of course, that doesn't make the Hulk very happy. And Hulk hates Banner and all that. How he and where is Banner, little man? So again, these kind of vertical panels, all these aren't complete. It is just amazing how Frank Miller constructs these images in I'm very jealous of him. I have to use horizontal panels or square panels, but he gets these vertical panels here. Matt's gonna try to reason with him, tell him violence isn't the answer. We can help you. And so Hulk tosses the whatever he had there, that part of the wall, out to the side. I love how they're posed here. So Matt tells him to relax, and this is the time where when Hulk becomes calm, then he becomes Bruce Banner, and then he faints after becoming Banner. So we're in the Upper East Side in Brownstone here. He wakes up in Murdoch's room. So he's bringing him tea or coffee, one of the two. So he asks what he's doing there. Matt asks him if he remembers. He says a little bit, just mostly the hate. He says he feels a lot of pain. Hulk just wants to lash out. Matt asks him if he wants more coffee. He says yes. He misses things like cups of coffee and having a normal life. He asks if they should contact the cops. Of course, Bruce says no, and then he's getting agitated. Matt can hear his heartbeat. That it's he's of course, the raised heartbeat is what turns him into the Hulk during this time. Bruce says that they can't deal with him, what he's become, when I lose control. Matt tells him that he won't lose control. He tries to use positive reinforcement here and gets him money to get clothes. He says he's done more than enough. And Matt tells him not to argue with him. Bruce leaves. He says thanks for everything, and then of course he says goodbye and good luck. And of course I love the shadow here with the zipatones. Very cool, showing the Daredevil silhouette. So Bruce says he needs to get away from New York, so he doesn't want to become the Hulk in New York, and they're gonna go down, take the subway to the Port Authority, grab a bus. So we get a quick recap of his origin. So here comes the train. All the people, of course, rushed in. He's this guy's smoking. Gotta love it, people. That was the era. Now you can't smoke anywhere, but back then you could smoke anywhere you wanted to. He's getting agitated. Asks the guy if he could turn it down. Guy pushes him, and then everybody else pushes him back. And he's just, now you can see that he's about to become the Hulk. And here he goes. He crushes the radio because, hey, nowadays people have their iPhones listening to their music and their headphones, so you don't really have this boombox for everything. And Hulk, of course, wants to get out, and another nice vertical panel as he jumps out. So Matt's inside this cab. He says he can hear the commotion, and he gets out and changes into Daredevil. And so Hulk is on a rampage. Matt asks what he wants, and Hulk complains about Banner. He says he won't leave until he finds Banner. So, cops arrived. He says Daredevil's here, but they need to contact the Avengers. And then, how about the Fantastic Four? Turns out they're both out of town because, hey, that's always what happens. And he's asking the Hulk to calm down. And this cop shoots him. And of course, now the Hulk won't calm down and hits Daredevil. He's going to go after the cop, who of course continues to shoot. Because, hey, we know that bullets don't work, but perhaps if you shoot 6 more, then maybe it'll work. Daredevil has no choice but now to try to fight him. And he's complaining again about Banner. And so he says they're trying to help him as he hits him with his billy club. Hulk grabs his hand and tosses him, tells him to go away, throws him against the wall of the next building. He falls down. See the blood there. Vertical panels again. That's I'm always amazed by that. So every time he does them, I will continue to point him out like a fanboy. So he says the Hulk's too strong, it's too brutal. He's lucky to be alive. He tried his best. It's not enough. Perhaps he should run away. No one would know. But he says he would know. So we all know that that's not. So we got more vertical panels. So one of the things about vertical panels is you can't put all the action, you can't put everything in there. So you have to be creative on how you put things. And I think that's the creativity that Frank Miller has as he's able to put these vertical panels in there. So Hulk says he's tired of running, wants to know where Banner is. He can't hide forever. That bus comes, and Hulk smashes it, and Daredevil must have been driving it because he's shooting out of it. And he's like, Hulk hates machines, Hulk hates Banner, arg. So cameras are trying to catch all this for the news. So of course, here is Ben Urich, who already suspects that Daredevil is Matt Murdock. And then she here sees Heather Glenn, who says, Matt, she did know that he was Daredevil, so that was my bad. Kept thinking she doesn't know, but she did know. Foggy doesn't know. So she hears Ben Urich recognizes her. So you can even see here, please do something where that thing kills Matt, and then doesn't finish it. And of course, Ben Urich is looking at her. So Daredevil's trying to stop the Hulk from destroying everything. Love, just very, very cool. Just, you see some stuff that artists and cartoonists just don't do nowadays. And you just don't see this very often. So I like the showing of the action. So once again, the Hulk slaps Matt around. Back then, these stories were very condensed. I mean, you can see that this would probably be a 2 or 3 parter nowadays. Daredevil's telling him that you can't find Banner this way. He's like, he wants to help the Hulk here, but tells him he's gonna have to trust him, and pleads with the Hulk. And so he finally falls. Paramedics come. Everybody asks if they've seen the Hulk, and of course the Hulk is doing his jump. I love this panel. So we get to the epilogue here, and um, oh my goodness, Ben Urich. I almost forgot his name, and it's right here. So Ben Urich is typing away, and his wife comes, if asks if it can wait. He says no, it won't be long, and we have a story that he's writing saying Matt Murdock is Daredevil. So end of the issue here says Daredevil expose. So we are going to go ahead and cover 164 here. I've been trying to do 2 issues, so all right. We got Daredevil holding his dad here. Very cool cover. So we got our title called Expose, and here we have the Avengers, um, the Black Widows here, Scarlet Witch, the Vision, Captain America, Thor, and the Beast, the X-Men Beast. So he was a member of the Avengers. And then, of course, we kind of get this headline here that gives a recap that he was fighting the Hulk. Klaus Janson returns as the inker for the entire issue. Here we have the Fantastic Four. I love how Daredevil still has his mask on. So, and then we got Power Man and Iron Fist here. So all these different people have been going to see him, but the Scarlet Witch, the Black Widow remains with Daredevil. So it's been a few days here, and you can see by the headlines. So, and during this time, she was in love with him, and this Ben Urich is coming through. Nurse is trying to stop him, says you can't go in there, and Black Widow tells him to leave, and he says who he is, and she says I have to talk to Daredevil, and she's like, no, you have to get out of here. Daredevil tells him it's okay. She knows him, and she says, all right, if you think it's gonna be okay. Daredevil asks him what he wants. He says he's got a story, a special one about him. He says it's that's flattering, but that his career is pretty much a open book. So Ben says, it's a story of a little boy who became blinded by a freak accident, how he overcame his handicap to become a successful lawyer and the man without fear. So, of course, he's like, I'm not Matt. So he puts in a picture of him, says if he describes it to him, then he'll leave and forget the whole thing. And, of course, he's like, a photo. I don't feel like playing games. I'm not Matt Murdock. Certainly not blind. I don't see anything to prove. It's none of your business. It's. And then, of course, it's true, he says. So, the picture that Ben was showing him was a picture of his father. And he's like, now we're going to kind of have a bit of the origin of Daredevil here. How his dad wanted him to not pay attention to sports. He wanted him to dedicate, to be better, to be smart. So his dad told him that he promised his mom studies come first. That he won't let him grow up to be uneducated, that he's going to be a doctor, a lawyer, somebody important. And so all the kids are playing. Of course, Matt has to study, and then all the bullies. And then he's got his nickname of Daredevil. And so the kids are horrible. So love Frank Miller. I don't know. Frank Miller's art is, I like him. I'm a huge fan of his, not just Dark Knight or, other stuff. I like early Miller too. Frank Miller's just a good good cartoonist here. So all the kids are teasing him. So we're basically gonna have the origin of Daredevil, but he decided, he's not just gonna be a book smart, and so he's also going to go to the gym and get better, get stronger, so to be able to defend himself. His dad asks him how he's doing. He's hits straight A's. He hits the books like dad hits opponents and all that kind of stuff. And so his dad was trying to get a fight, and the guy's like, that manager is crooked, and he says he hasn't landed a fight in weeks, and he's getting old and slow, and has been, but it's all he knows how to do, so he can't go through a legitimate manager. So this is the only chance. He just needs enough to pay the bills until Matt finishes college. So he wants to be able to afford him that better life. So here the fixer tells him if he's ready to sign away with him. So he says that he's ready, and of course he says not so fast. He throws the contract on the floor because he said he would want him to beg on his knee. So he throws the contract out, and the guy, of course, has to bend over. He's got his foot on it, so he can't. So he has to stay and sign it on his knees. Again, vertical panels. Huge fan. So here we have the where he's gonna go blind. They're carrying some radioactive stuff, and here the guy goes, "Oh, cramp in my chest, can't breathe, it hurts," and lets go of the steering wheel. The other soldier goes and grabs it, and here comes the truck, and this gentleman's about to get run over. Matt jumps and saves him, gets out of the way. The truck hits something, and the material kind of falls, hits him or whatever, lands right beside him, and it was the last thing he ever saw, because during the 60s, radiation apparently gave superpowers to people. So in this case, he becomes blind. His dad feels terrible, tells him he's proud. He ends up going to college, and Foggy Nelson is his roommate. So he's saying how he gained the powers, that even though he can't see, he can feel just by touching regular. He can the faint impressions. He says he can feel the letters, and smells good and hears good and tastes everything, and has that radar sense. So it's almost like he never stopped seeing him. So of course Ben says, "Why'd you become Daredevil?" And he says, "Justice, blind justice." And so what we have here is Murdoch winning. So part of the reason he's winning is for the odds. So so the fixer tells him to take a dive on the next fight, because everybody else sort of took a dive for him, and part of the reason was so that the odds would be better, because he's going to bet against him. So he's like, "I've never taken a dive before." And he says, "Take a dive or you are a dead man." And so, of course, we have a thing here where it says the winner of this fight will get a shot at the world champ. And Matt and Foggy are going to go. Of course, we got Madison Square Garden, and his dad is fighting, but he's getting his butt kicked like he's supposed to. And everybody's like, "Get him, Murdoch, get him." And this guy's like, "You're nothing," and all that, teasing him as well. And they're counting him out, and the fixer tells him to stay down, because he fixed the fight like the others. Um, and he says, "Well, doesn't matter." And he gets up and just starts decking the other guy because he sees Matt here and he's like, I want him to be proud of me. So he is going to fight this guy and just starts winning or beating him, and then he ends up winning. So then, as he was walking home, he was shot in the back, and so Matt goes to see his dad's old friend. He's like, I told him not to go see Sweeney. So, um, tell him there's nothing, they're not going to be able to, put anything on him and to just give up. And he says, his dad never gave up and neither will he. So this is just, like I said, this issue is just a bit of an origin issue. Great jumping on point for new readers. So we are at that gym and suddenly, boom, we got Daredevil. And I love the classic yellow and red costume. He's looking for Fixer, and of course here he comes. So I absolutely adore this. So Daredevil makes his way through, going after the Fixer. So the lights are out. So says he owes him, and he's here to collect, and it's time to pay the devil. Of course, he sends in his partner. Fixer's trying to get out of here. Daredevil quickly dispatches the guy. He's like, no, don't hit me anymore. But he continues to hit him. And Fixer's trying to make it to the subway. And he tells him end of the line. No, he starts running. And then, says you're a devil. You can see here he's about to have a heart attack. And he dies. Yeah, of course, he says, this one's for you, Dad. So he tells that that is how he became Daredevil. He tells Ben Urich that if he prints that story, then his career as Daredevil is over. He says he knows that, and so he's a reporter, and he knows that this story means to him, and he ends up getting his cigarette, turns it on, and then burns it. And he throws it in there and then says, this one's for you, Matt. And so we conclude. We're going to be looking at Daredevil 165 from 1980. I normally do 2 issues per video, or try to, but I started going back to 1 because some of these older stories are so full of stuff that it can create like a 20-minute video, and if I do 2 issues, that's like a 40-minute video. Not very many people want to sit through 40 minutes. So I decided to go with some of these older stories to do 1 video, and then once we get to newer stories that just aren't as detailed story-wise, because everything now is made to be read in a trade paperback, so they don't fill these issues quite up, we'll maybe go back to 2 or more. But for now, we're sort of covering the Frank Miller era of Daredevil. So 1 video it is. I have a playlist with the Daredevil stuff. Feel free to check that out. I have covered every issue from the beginning that Frank Miller has done, including the Peter Parker, the Spectacular Spider-Man issues, and then beginning with his first issue as penciler. He didn't take over as writer till 168, but he started with Daredevil 158. So I have all those issues down there. So feel free to check those out. Today's main villain is going to be Dr. Octopus. It's kind of cool seeing a Spider-Man villain here. One of the neat things I like about Frank Miller is even early on, look at his pencils. It's just so very cool. Just the action, how he composes stuff. So, all right, here we go. So, Matt is going through the skyline. Real quick, look at the zipatones that are added here. Just so cool. You don't see that very often in today's stuff. It's done digitally now, but back then the inker had to do this manually by hand. So, Daredevil had plans with the Black Widow. They were dating during this time, but he received a tip from an informer, so he's going to check that out here. Now, Frank Miller is not the sole writer at this time. Roger McKenzie is working with him. He was just the writer and then slowly just started being co-plotters. Eventually, Frank Miller does take over. Klaus Janson is doing the inks. So it is the same team that will come up minus Roger McKenzie. So we go in here into a sleazy bar, because it even says in there it's a sleazy bar, and these guys are playing pool. And Matt stops the game. He wants to talk to one of the gang members named Pike. So he wants to talk about an adamantium shipment that was stolen from a Pittsburgh foundry. He says it's going to be smuggled into New York, and word is that he's the one that deals with smuggled goods. He grabs Pike and tells him to tell him because adamantium may be indestructible, but he's not. And so he's stalling for time. Daredevil realizes that, it says, quit stalling. He wants answers, not a knife in the back. So you can see here, Daredevil gets rid of that goon and then starts fighting the other one. And while Daredevil is fighting them, Pike decides he's going to go and get away. And so he goes away and decides he knows the streets better than Daredevil and he won't be able to find him. He's going to head uptown. And he says here, you know, ripping off stolen property is one thing, but messing with Daredevil, that's trouble. So he's going to go warn, I think he mentioned his name, Flapjack. So he gets here to Flapjack and tells him Daredevil is onto them, and he says not a problem, that he can handle them or him. So they decide to move up the timetable, and this person here says that Pike's right, the stuff's gonna arrive tomorrow and they better make a move before it reaches Glen Industries, to which causes Daredevil to pause. Now, Glen Industries is basically run by Daredevil's girlfriend, or off. It's very hard to describe. Was girlfriend, not girlfriend during this time. So, feel free to check out the database bios there. But essentially, what's going on is that's her company. That she inherited after her father died. Her father died sometime around Daredevil 150. We have not covered that. So Daredevil tells or thinks that he gives us a little bit of the story. It's a great trope of these back days. Kind of give you the thoughts to give you a little bit more background as to what's going on. So he says Pike never had the brains for this kind of job, so it looks like somebody else did this, had this idea to plan this adamantium heist. So he let him escape so that it would lead him to his accomplices, but he never expected anything like this. Now, real quick, I love these vertical panels that he does. I think Todd McFarlane and Frank Miller are the best at these vertical panels. So he says he can't believe that Glenn Industries is knowingly involved in anything illegal because of Heather Glenn, who he was going to marry at one time. So he knows that something's wrong. He wants to get to the bottom of it. So we go here into Glenn Industries offices, which are located in Midtown. And so they're having a board meeting here. And they've been operating on the red since Maxwell Glenn's death. And the company's nearly bankrupt, but they have a client who's willing and able to lift them out of their financial problems. This guy here asks who the client is. I love it that they're smoking inside. And this guy says his identity is important, but his wants are simple. So he wants to purchase their Jersey electronics plant, and he's going to pay enough to keep them relevant. So in comes Heather Glenn and says, "Mr. Tubbs, what is the meaning of this? Why wasn't she informed of the board meeting?" And of course, Tubbs says, "Hey, we understand how hard it's been since your dad died, and they just wanted to spare them over needless worries on business matters." But Daredevil arrives and realizes that they're and tells her that they're dealing in stolen property, and she's just aghast. She's like, asks what she's doing there, and then realizes what he said, and then she begins to think. She remembers her father, who had been in prison, wrongfully imprisoned for crimes he didn't commit. And it was Matt Murdock who helped free him from prison. And that's where she fell in love with him. Love these vertical panels here. Just absolutely love them. Sorry, I got confused for a second. He didn't free him. Actually, he's the one that caught him for the fraud. So Daredevil had demanded to see the company records for some other client, most likely, and he uncovered fraud. Turns out that he was a victim of the Purple Man, who had mental powers, and you see how they just kind of tell you everything. I mean, these comic books were just full of information, and so he didn't know it, so he went to jail for guilt. And then Daredevil tried to prove his innocence, and even shared his secret identity with her. And then Maxwell Glenn eventually ended up killing himself in jail. So, of course, him being there angers her. Daredevil offers help, but she does not want his help. Tells him to just get out. So, they say Daredevil tells her that these people are using her, and of course she's distraught because of course this was the still in the era of the damsel in distress. So this is kind of where we are. So you got to take things by the time period that they were written. So this is early 1980s. So these guys here say, "That's okay, we'll take care of everything." And the Mr. Tubbs says, "Gentlemen, if you'll be so kind as to escort Daredevil out the door." Daredevil just kind of looks in disbelief and then jumps out the window and tells them not to bother. So the next day, this is Foggy Nelson, and he's like in a great mood and tells Matt that he got a new tuxedo for his wedding, and you can see this thing here. It's supposed to be the latest. And Daredevil is in a bad, or Matt is in a bad mood. He says he's busy, get off his back, asks for the transcript. She's here saying, wow, he's been snapping at everyone. He wonders what's wrong. Then we cut to Glen Industries, and Heather is looking. This is a flashlight that's on her shoulder. So this is the era before iPhones with flashlights already built into them. So she's going through the records and realizes that the sale of the New Jersey branch is a front. And then, of course, you can see the arms of Dr. Octopus coming towards her and grabbing her. Another semi-vertical panel here. So later that evening in Matt's apartment, he gets a call. You can see here ring. So his phone rings, and he is talking to a guy named Rico, who asks if Heather's there. And the guy says that he hasn't seen her in a bit. Matt changes into Daredevil and says that she thinks Daredevil is in trouble, and the Black Widow says she'll go with him. And he says no, and then she's like, "What'd you say?" And he says, "Heather needs me, I'm going alone." A Black Widow tells him that they're a team, and Matt says the dreaded words, "We're friends, Natasha, that's all we can be for now," and realizes that he still loves Heather. And you can see here as she's kind of left alone as he goes up the stairs. So later that in New Jersey, you can see that these people are getting the adamantium that's apparently in some crates here, and they're loading them. Here comes Daredevil again, vertical panels, and he lands, and of course this guy's like, "My finger," and he's like, "You almost broke my hand," because he landed on that. So off goes Daredevil to take care of the thugs. So, and they're fighting, but so this guy here is gonna run towards Daredevil, but he's grabbed by the arms of Dr. Octopus. So, and Dr. Octopus has that guy over there. So you get a brief origin of Dr. Octopus done in just a couple of paragraphs, which is just great. You know, it just gives you enough, and you keep going, you get everything. So it says here that he was once a renowned nuclear physicist, because everybody worked on nuclear stuff, until a tragic accident changed him into something more than human. So he says the adamantium belongs to him, and interfering in his plans means death. Of course, Daredevil's like, he wasn't expecting Dr. Octopus. So he grabs him and throws him in the water, holding him so that he ends up drowning. So he says that he's a bigger annoyance than Spider-Man. He's gonna get rid of his annoyance. So he decides to stop struggling, that he's gonna go limp, continue to hold his breath. You can see here his heart is giving out. He hopes that by not struggling, Dr. Octopus will let go, which is exactly what he does. But we don't know if our guy is still alive or not. But of course, it's a Daredevil book. Our hero never dies. So later, the police are there, and so they find a body floating in the water. You can tell it's Daredevil because here they put his nice little horns. And they're like, "It's Daredevil, we think he's dead." And the cop says, "Call the morgue." Again, these vertical panels, he's so good at them. And suddenly he coughs, and they say, "Hey, take it easy." He says he can't. And Daredevil says Dr. Octopus made a mistake. He gave him a second chance. So at the their research and development headquarters for Glen Industry, Dr. Octopus says he needed the adamantium so that he could forge them into the new arms, which would then be indestructible. Of course, Heather says that he's insane. So he says insanity is for lesser people like Daredevil and Spider-Man, and he goes to go the last time how Spider-Man had beaten him. He was stuck in a sinking submarine, and Spider-Man was able to uh, go or get away. Now, real quick, I do like this drawing. Look at this thick brush, just kind of like, you know, whatevs. I like it. I know that compared to how things are in today's, it doesn't maybe look as good, but I don't know. I really enjoy. Part of what I like about Klaus Janson and Frank Miller is how great their styles merge, and I love that thick brush. I just absolutely adore it. Again, with these thick panels here, I have to tell you, are not thick, vertical panels. I I just I just can't seem to get them the way Frank Miller and Todd McFarlane. Todd McFarlane is the second guy for these vertical panels. They do such a good job. So he says he was the arms ripped that other arm off so that he was able to get away. Now he has these this is all fused to him. So he's actually able to feel pain. Anything that happens to the arms are he actually feels it. And he says that he passed out. However, the arms using the he lost consciousness, but the arms they act on his last mental command, so they got him out of the water, and so he decided to repair them and make them indestructible. So he says that regrettably he has to kill her because she knows too much, but then the lights of course went out. And of course, he's like, it must be a minor electronic malfunction. But you can see Daredevil coming from behind him. So he's going to use one of his arms to get the auxiliary power on and then kill her. But, of course, Daredevil shows up. Daredevil realizes that the lights are on, so he's lost his element of surprise. So he's going to go and try to get closer to the doctor so that he doesn't have to fight the arms, but it doesn't matter. He hits him with the arm, and some of the other people are gonna get away while Daredevil fights. And Heather's like, he's gonna kill Matt unless she can find some way to help him. And he's trying, like I said before, he's trying to get closer to him, but as Dr. Octopus keeps moving the arms, it makes him hard, so he has to take him quickly. Real quick, I just want to illustrate the silhouette here. So they had to cut that into the art, or into the coloring plates to do this. There is no line art. So this was actually drawn using the color plates. So, and back in 1980, that wasn't as easy. It's not like there were computers to aid him with that, so... And Daredevil continues. You can just see just such a good trope from Miller as he illustrates him, the movement. Man, Frank Miller, he's really good. His writing is great. His art is great. He just... And now, real quick, Frank Miller's current, the way he's drawing right now, I know some people are just cannot believe, they find it terrible. You know, it's our subjective. You know, this is just kind of how he draws now. Yes, I believe his old style was much better, but you know, artists evolve. So here Daredevil hits him really hard with using his billy club. It's still not enough, and so he continues. And again, he grabs him, throws the billy club. Dr. Octopus keeps calling him cretin. So he just warns him that this is his last day, and he's going to kill him. And he's being held in this arm is free. Most likely to probably hit him and kill him. So he's going to basically beat him with it. But so Heather is trying, you can see here, she's trying to cut the rope. Again, some vertical panels. He's so good at them. Even when they're small, I mean, he just fits so much information in them. That's just awesome. And you can see that he's getting closer and closer. So finally, she's able to get out. And of course, Dr. Octopus wants Daredevil to beg for his life. So she cuts Dr. Octopus using that piece of glass, and he strikes her. He's going to go find the Billy Club. Daredevil feels the electricity surging through the cables. He decides that he's going to go to Dr. Octopus. And so he calls him, he says, "Hey, Chubby, ever consider stuffing those arms into your ear?" Of course, he says he's mocked him for the final time. And without looking, he just hits that electrical panel. And all that voltage goes right through Dr. Octopus. And Daredevil says he should let him fry, but then he would be a villain. So, and he says he can hear his heartbeat. And they figure the arms must have insulated him from the worst. So, even while Dr. Octopus is down, and real quick, love the silhouettes. Wow. Frank Miller really, even to this day, continues with the blacks. So, he noticed that even while down, the arms are taking him away, and Daredevil says he's too dangerous to remain at large. He's gonna follow him, and of course, Heather comes from the background and says, "Don't leave me, please, not now." And while she says, "You risked your life for me, Matt, after the way I've treated you." And she asks why, and of course he's like, "You know the answer to that," and they're about to kiss. But the Black Widow shows up. She says, she kind of feels, I don't know, the way they say it here, I don't think she's taking it too badly. Just says, "It's very hard to lose you. Goodbye and good luck." So she's leaving, and of course we get this part here where the Black Widow leaves New York. It's in the front page of the Daily Bugle or Daily News or whatever. So we are continuing our run with throughout Frank Miller's Daredevil. So at this time, he is the co-plotter. Roger McKenzie is the scripter. Klaus Janson is his inker. But he is not the sole writer at this time. So Miller and Janson are doing the art, but Roger McKenzie is still, like I said, the scripter. Miller is co-plotting this, though. And so the title of our story, "Till Death Do Us Part." So, at last, Foggy gets married, plus the return of one of Dee Dee's most fearsome foes, the murderous gladiator. In a special gym that compromises an entire wing of his Upper East Side brownstone, a very special man, a blind man, pushes himself through the grueling workout few sighted men would dare attempt, with much less master with such breathtaking skill. But this morning, his rigorous training is suddenly interrupted. And so, Matt, are you in here? No, darling, up here. He is attorney Matt Murdock, but there are times he stalks the street as Daredevil, the man without fear. For although a tragic accident robbed him of his vision several years ago, it also heightened his remaining senses to an incredible degree. One of the things comic books did is kind of give everyone, because Jim Shooter was the editor-in-chief of Marvel during this time. He had an edict. Every issue is somebody's first issue. So give them an idea of who these people are. So a lot of times it seems repetitive, but they do it for the readers. So we continue. So even though he can't see Heather Glenn, he knows it is her even before she speaks. The scent of her perfume is to Matt just as unmistakable as the distinctive beat of her heart. But then he would know her anywhere. She is, after all, the woman he loves. And so here are our credits. Frank Miller will take over as writer within a few issues. So maybe 2 or 3 more, I believe. Denny O'Neil is the editor. Denny O'Neil is the one that brought him to DC to do Batman. Because Denny O'Neil ended up leaving Marvel. And when he went to DC, he took over the Batman books and got Frank Miller in there. I'll be right with you, Heather. And so, say I have, I don't know which way to go, but anyway. He does his little. One of the neat things Frank Miller does is he does this, penciling his movements from one to the other. So, nolo content. I don't know, some French. I'm afraid I've no choice but to throw myself at the mercy of the court. Your wish is my command. Well, in that case, my lord, I wish you'd get out of that smelly costume and into your tux. And he's like, but we're running late as it is, counselor. Or have you forgotten your best friend's getting married today? And so, so she's gonna take him through. Apparently, Matt had forgotten all about the wedding, so while Mac jumps in the shower, we jump to a sprawling Midtown museum where social worker Betsy Betty is learning that supervising a field trip for underprivileged children can be as hectic as it is rewarding. But then, to Betsy, children are worth the trouble. Hurry, Miss Betsy, we don't have much time, and there's something we want to see. A statue of the gladiator. I hope that dude never gets his hand on me. Continuing our exposition on man and his weaponry through the ages, we come to Melvin Potter. As the gladiator, he used modern technology to create a stylized version of ancient Roman armor. You see here his actual costume. And so this lady thinks, I wonder what the guide would say if he knew Melvin was one of my clients. I love the halftones. Klaus Janson to me is such a great inker. Uses that heavy, thick brush, that big line. So, the court assigned me to his case after his parole from prison, and I've tried my best to help him. It's hard to imagine that poor, friendless man could actually be the gladiator, but I never realized just how frightening he must look in that armor. Then, as the tour moves on, let's check out the Roman exhibit, Miss Betsy. They're supposed to have a big arena and everything. And then this security guard goes, oh, those kids must have left this thermos. You can see someone's heading behind. No problem. And then the guy gets him and breaks his neck here. You'll do nothing, Jackal, because you are weak, just as they are weak. And, oh, jeez Louise, just bam. They fear me because I'm strong. That's why they tried to steal my freedom and everything that is rightfully mine. They betray me just like they betrayed Caesar. He just grabs it. But my armor will protect me. My armor and my weapons. And off panel here. Melvin! Miss Betsy, what are you doing here? That costume. I followed you, Miss Betsy, because I know the truth. The truth? What's he talking about, Miss Betsy? Larry, I wish I knew. Watch out. Those blades look razor sharp. Oh my, this is highly irregular. The others fear me, Miss Betsy. They fear me and they hate me. But you are not like the others. You have been kind to me, so there is no longer any reason to pretend. Pretend, she says. You know, it's hard to believe how much Miller has grown as an artist in just a few issues. My goodness gracious. Um, it just he's doing so good, and Klaus Janson is perfect for him, just absolutely perfect. So, all right. So he says, Gladiator says, admit it, Miss Betsy, you love me because I'm the Gladiator, and she's like, what? And we continue here, but before he stunned, Betsy can explain that in his loneliness, Melvin has mistaken her compassion toward him for a much deeper emotion. This guy here is yelling, guards, guards, no, that jackal will ruin everything. And she's like, it doesn't matter, please listen to me. And he's like, I will not be betrayed, not ever again. Melvin, don't, you'll kill him. And so out comes this blade, and it hits the guy from behind. And it's razor. You can see here, it's like a saw blade. Very well, Miss Betsy. If it is what you want, I will spare the jackal this time. And so he goes to retrieve the blade. So, Miss Betsy, I warn you, I'm not a patient man, and as Caesar is my witness, the next jackal that dares betrays me will wish he was dead. So now we're at Foggy's apartment. I love the tux he's wearing. Matt, I wish I was dead, he says. Cheer up, partner. Things can't be that bad. That's easy for you to say. Your folks aren't late for your wedding. Mine are. They were due in from Akron hours ago. Something's gone wrong. I know it has. Miller is the master of these vertical panels. Now, Foggy, don't go jumping into conclusions. I'm sure they'll be here any... And so on cue, they come in. And so, hello, Matt. Have you missed me? And I think this is Foggy's sister. Real quick, look at the variety that Miller already uses. I mean, the perspective in the room. So, sure, Candace, it has been a long time, but don't you think you should say hi to your brother? Shoot, I can see Foggy any old time. I'd rather look at you, she says. And so Foggy's dad is like, Foggy, you old hound dog, your mother and I are proud as a punch. Yes, indeed. So behind him is his brother, who is also wearing a funny tux. So, all right. Pork chop Patterson. I haven't seen you since college. Maybe that's his friend. That's your loss, chum. I'm still loose as a goose. Hey, you remember our old fraternity cheer? And they go. All right. So then, man, great panel here by Frank Miller. Absolutely great. Candace, I think it'd be better. Sure, Matt. And so they sit down and talk for a little bit. And Foggy's looking for the ring. He's like, oh my gosh, I lost it. So, at the museum here, Gladiator is yelling, get out of here, run. Oh, sorry, not the Gladiator. One of the people in here is like, get out of here, run. The Gladiator has taken over the museum. He's holding some kids hostage. He almost killed one man already. And so now the Gladiator says, you heard me, stripling. Deliver that message to the authorities without delay. They have 1 hour to send me a champion to battle me, or I will slay your friends one by one. And the lady there's like, kill the children. My God, you can't be serious. And Gladiator says, I have never been more serious. I was lost until I met you, but now I have someone to fight for. And by all the Holy Empire, I will fight. But Melvin, there's no reason to... And so then he kisses her. There's every reason. And, of course, she's like, don't you ever touch me like that again, and slaps him. And, is her face black? I'm trying to determine here if... that it just looks a little weird. Okay. I'm the gladiator, and you dare reject me? It is unthinkable. Yes, of course, I understand now. I must prove myself in combat. Then so be it, Miss Betsy. If you want a warrior, you shall have one. And she's like, all I want is for you to let the children go free. Please, Melvin, just let them go. I'm still, why is her face? I don't know. It's just black and weird. I don't know. All right. So, look at all the cigarettes here. They're stuck in traffic, and there's Matt, and he hears about the museum, and Matt goes, the gladiator, oh no. Now of all times, if I miss Foggy's wedding, he'll never forgive me, but if I don't help those children, I'll never forgive myself. And so the guy is talking to Matt, doesn't even realize that he's gone, and Matt leaves the cab fare there. And so another great vertical panel and great drawing. Wow. And so a lot of halftones here, just so awesome. So he's using his radar sense to kind of get the lay of the land. And so Gladiator is about to kill this kid. And she's like, oh, please don't harm him. And you heard the lady? And he's like, who's that? An old foe. So he recognizes Daredevil. Or so, but he walks right past him because he's kind of hidden in plain view. And so he throws the stilt man at him. And Daredevil says, I'm not a child you can frighten or bully, Gladiator. I'm very glad I get to read these again. I haven't read some of these. I have every single one of these issues. And I have the trade also. And it's just it's really nice. I haven't read these in maybe 20 years or so since the last time I read them. Wow. All right. And so they go and start the fight. And Daredevil thinks that blow would have killed an ordinary man. It didn't even stun Gladiator. Well, he must think high of himself. Gladiator kicks him here. You are swift, Jackal. My slashing blade merely grazed you, but this lion is swifter and far more deadly. In combat, the lion always slays the jackal. You, devil, you are the jackal. And meanwhile, Miss Betsy's like, hurry, children, hurry. You have never been anything else. And Gladiator grabs Daredevil. He's like, what? You still struggle, you fool. You've knocked me off balance. We're going to... And the two of them fall down. And here is a some bus from Rome. And he's like, listen to the spectators. Hear how they urge me. You lie. They scream for death. Jackal, your death. And they shall have it. And he sees the Emperor here thinking, he sees the thumbs down. So be it, my liege. Those who are about to die salute. And then he's like, the jackal has fled. And Daredevil kicks him from behind. But the Gladiator is not done. Even without my headgear, my armor makes me more than a match for you. And all of a sudden, Daredevil hits him. Ugh. Armor is only a shell. No good without a man inside. Strong as he is, he can only withstand so much punishment. And he's hitting him on the pressure points. It's working. He's literally out. You fought better, Devil. Better than I had expected. You have earned a warrior's death. Quick, clean, and honorable. So, you cut me twice, Gladiator, but never again. And he kicks him, and he falls down. And so Miss Betsy comes in and says, Daredevil, Miss, are the children? She says, they're fine, but it's not the children I'm worried about. It's Melvin. In many respects, he's a child, a terribly lonely and bitter child. He reached out for love in the only way he knew how. Now more than ever, he needs understanding and a helping hand. Melvin, I'd like to help you. And the cops come. He says, thanks, Daredevil. We'll handle it from there. And, of course, he's... I like that here. Hey, buddy, on your feet, you're going to need a good lawyer. And so he needs to get back into the wedding. So Matt finally arrives. And he says, Foggy, am I too late? He says, nearly, Matt. I stalled as long as I could. If you just could give me the ring and... Oh, that's just it, Foggy. Becky and I turned the storefront upside down, but we couldn't find it. Sorry. And he's like, oh no, what am I going to do? If I could only remember where I... And then he had it on his little pinky. And he's like, oh, guess what, Matt? And the priest is like, Miss Harris, you sure you want to go through with this? And she says, for better or for worse, Reverend. And the priest sighs. Very well, then. By the powers vested in me, I now pronounce you man and wife. So, thus ends our issue here. So, real quick here, it says Daredevil versus the Punisher, but that issue was delayed because of the gun violence on it. So. It took a little bit to get that story in there, but it will eventually. So the next issue will not actually be the Punisher. So we are going to be looking at the last non-Frank Miller written issue of Daredevil. Daredevil 167. It is drawn by Miller and Janson. Miller doesn't even have co-plot credits here. So, for the most part, I like this cover. It's really cool. Daredevil was really about to hit some really good stuff here. So, for the most part, Roger McKenzie had been writing Daredevil. Frank Miller then started co-plotting with him. However, starting the next issue, 168, of course, is Elektra's first appearance. Good luck if you have it. Good luck if you don't have it, because it's just expensive. So that's okay. I will be showing it to you here next week when we get to it, because I am covering Miller's entire run on Daredevil. Then probably Denny O'Neil's run, which will then culminate with Frank Miller on Daredevil Born Again with David Mazzucchelli. So, David Michelinie is the writer of this issue. So we're just gonna kind of get it going, and hopefully hopefully you enjoy it. It's okay. Like I said, Miller doesn't write it, so it's okay. So this was supposed to be, so this ended up being a fill-in issue, okay? So what was supposed to happen is, the Punisher was supposed to show up with the Child's Play story arc. It's 2 issues. Those 2 issues were then, it took a while, because the Comics Code Authority didn't want to approve them. They were eventually approved. So Marvel didn't want to publish it without the Comics code. So it was because they were very controversial. I actually have covered them, but I will be recovering them again when we get to it. So the previous issue, which we didn't cover because Miller didn't do it, was just a fill-in issue. So then Miller and Janson didn't feel like coming up with another issue, so then they tapped in David Michelini. I call him Michelini. I know some people say Michelini. Take your pick. CH can be a ch or a k. I love this language. Take your pick of how you want to pronounce things. So Spanish is so much easy. Vowels have one sound. You know, it's just so much better. So anyway, this is essentially a fill-in issue with Miller and Janson doing it as the artist. So the time was when most high-level commerce was conducted behind closed doors, cloaked in business suit formality and clouds of thick, stale smoke. And so you can see here, perimeter security neutralized. Begin visual scan for enemy. But nowadays, many masters of high-end enterprise choose to abandon stuffy traditions, preferring instead the illusionary openness of the country club cocktail parties. You can see Matt here with his girlfriend at this time. I believe her name was Heather Glenn. Oh, yep, there it is. Jeez, I should have just kept on reading. So I love the thick, super thick inks by Klaus Janson, like the one that has brought blind attorney Matthew Murdoch and his lady friend Heather Glenn to the Forest Hill Garden this sunny afternoon. Enemy observed and identified. Instigate targeting sequence, where they will soon find that closed doors, preferably of thick, solid construction with sturdy deadbolt locks, do have their advantage. Blaze cannon locked on and primed. Destruction of Edwin Cord imminent. And you can see there's a target for him. Oopsie. With this double page spread here. Thanks again for inviting us, Mr. Cord. Yes, wonderful party, says Matt. Hey, the pleasure's mine. I've been wanting to discuss something with Matt for some time. Anyway, I love bathing suit, even for men back then, was essentially these. I prefer modern bathing suits for men. That the ones that are more like Bermuda shorts. I love those. So. Well then, if you two are going to talk business, I think I'll just mix a bit, says Heather. But we're not. Sure we are, my boy. And he takes Matt away. Tell me, have you ever considered the advantages of a staff position? The Cord conglomerate could use a bright young lawyer on its team. You could name your own salary and there'd be plenty of other benefits. Ones friendly folks at the IRS wouldn't have to know about, if you catch my drift. What do you say? Eddie. Come quick. Angela just ate her inner tube. Not now, Sylvia. I haven't finished talking to Matt yet. Yes, Mr. Cord, you have. Come on, Heather. We're leaving. But why? The party's just starting to get interesting. Heather, please, don't make a scene. And you can see her with the... I'm not making anything, Matthew. But if you'd care to start, and suddenly this guy jumps in... That's right, Cord, jump. Jump as you made me jump, but you'll never escape the wrath of the Mauler. As he tries, I think he missed him, though. You grovel well, Cord. Something you learned from your hirelings, no doubt. Or is it fear of what one of those hirelings might do to you? Matt, hurry, you've got to get help. Let me go. Leave me alone. Go away. Yes, it is fear, because you know what this hand can do, don't you, Cord? Don't you, Cord? And you can see there. Come on, Sammy, the boss is in trouble. I'm with you, Arlo. Heather, knowing my dual identity makes getting away to change to Daredevil a lot easier. Only I need someplace private to make that change, and everybody's looking over there. When I lost my sight, my senses became incredibly more acute, and right now they're telling me that there's a building nearby, small changing room. And he opens it up. Hey, what are you doing? Sorry, this is an emergency. And he shoves her out. But wait, I'm not dressed. That's all right, miss. I promise not to look. And so, meanwhile, this guy is dispatching um, everybody here. Is this what you require for employees now, Cord? Broad and blind obedience? You prefer this quality over diligence, over dedication, over loyalty? And he's hit behind from a billy club. Overconfident, aren't you, Mahler? Let's see how you do against someone who's more in your league. And Daredevil kicks him. Beautiful panel here. What the devil? But you're not supposed to be here. This isn't your fight. Any fight is mine, mister. I love Frank Miller's, how he just puts Daredevil in all these different positions there. When the lives of innocent bystanders are placed in jeopardy with such mindless disregard. You don't understand. Cord is the only one I want to hurt, but now you leave me no choice. And he shocks Daredevil. And so you can see here the police have showed up and they have their guns drawn. All right, Buster, drop the hero and shut off the fireworks. And so he's like, police, that's right. We do occasionally answer our complaint lines. I'm Lieutenant Nick Manolis. You're under arrest. Fools, Cord is the one who deserves to be punished, and I swear that when we meet again, let's see, he will be. And so he flies away. Kind of like an Iron Man suit, which David Michelini was the writer of Iron Man. We're never going to catch up to him, Lieutenant. I realize that, Delaney, but at least we have Daredevil to question. Correction, Lieutenant, did have. Dee split over a hedge a couple of seconds ago, and God knows where he is now. And so Heather's like, nice work, handsome. Only I think your more cerebral skills are going to be needed for the next problem. Cord's refusing to talk. He says, oh, really? Mr. Cord, you're obviously involved in this near massacre up to your teeth, and though I'm not your attorney, I would strongly advise you to cooperate, otherwise you could be charged with. Lieutenant Manolis, would you please look at this card and then inform our public-spirited friend of the reality of the situation. And so, terrific. I'm afraid he's right, Murdoch. I've only seen a security clearance that high twice in my whole career, and what it means basically is that Cord doesn't have to talk to anyone about anything. I see. Well then, if that's the law, I suppose there's nothing else to be done. Come on, Heather. By the way, Mr. Cord, you'd best have your waiters check the hors d'oeuvres. I think they've been in the sun too long because something smells very rotten around here, he says. And so, the party ends, evening begins, and as late summer sun withers the horizon, Edwin Cord hand wax limousine purrs through the gates of the spacious Long Island estate. One that more closely resembles an armed camp than a private residence. That is a lot of frickin'. Yes, sir, Mr. Cord. As soon as we got your phone call, we tripled security and put everyone on armed alert. A fly couldn't get into the grounds unobserved. That's fine, Garfield. Tell the boys they'll be remembered at bonus times. Those security troops are the best money can rent. It's worth every penny to feel safe, to relax, to know that no one could possibly get to me. Hello, Cord. I believe you have something to tell me. What the? He says. So, $5 says it's Daredevil. You owe me $5, and I didn't peek. All right. So, Daredevil, but how did you... I didn't expect such illustrious visitor. Please forgive my poor manners. Would you like something to drink? I'll just ring for the butler and he throws his billy stick. Get your fingers off that button, Cord, if you want to keep your hand. But what do you want from me? Information, Cord. There was some rather severe unpleasantness at your country club today, and you're going to tell me why. And Cord says, all right, The guy in the armor is Aaron Solms. He was dismissed from my company for clerical reasons. He didn't like it, so he snuck back and stole the prototype for some advanced body armor we're developing. The Mobile Armored Utility Emitter Revised, better known as Mauler. I love the acronyms. Obviously, Solms is trying to get revenge on the company. I don't think you're telling me everything, Cord, but at least you've given me something to think. Now, I'll give you something to think if you think about it. If I find you've lied to me and he hits the switch, I'll be back. Blasted Daredevil, you can't threaten me. You won't even get 3 feet from this room before my guards tear you to... And he turns it on pieces. And it's all love this panel. Miller just showing you all the stuff here. Just beautiful. Early the next morning at the storefront law offices of Murdoch and Nelson. Matt. Oh, I'm sorry, Becky. I was just thinking. No, you were worrying. You've been in a fog all morning. Can't you at least tell me what's wrong? I'm afraid that's the kicker, Becky. I'm not entirely sure what is wrong, but I will tell you one thing. I'm going to find out. You know, what I like about doing what I'm doing is because I haven't read some of these issues in such a long time, it gives me a chance to catch up on some of these comics. So I look at them and glance at them again for the first time with you guys. So I don't pre-read them. I've read them so many times, but it's been so long. I probably haven't read these issues in, goodness, since probably the 90s is the last time I probably looked at these. So I have all of Frank Miller's Daredevil run in the individual issues, and then I also have the trades because I had bought the trades so I wouldn't have to damage the issues. But now I have everything on digital, so I don't even look at the trades anymore. It's I'm telling you, this comic book's a little fickle sometimes, but I just prefer things digital nowadays. But I still buy comic books. I still get Thor, Hulk, Captain America. Mostly because my daughter likes Captain America, and I was gonna quit it, but Jay Straczynski or Joe Straczynski started writing Captain America, so then I continued with it. And what else? Not very many things. So, all right. As the night once more blankets New York, Matt Murdock, true to his word, makes his way to the sprawling Long Island City headquarters of the Cord conglomerate, beginning that journey as blind and brilliant attorney, and ending it as crimson-cowled champion of justice called Daredevil. It was easy enough to find out what Cord would be working late. So it was easily enough to find out that Cord would be working late at his factory tonight. So it's safe to assume that Solms has that information too, which means that if the Maulers are going to attack again, it will likely be here. And thus the man without fear crouches, muscles as lithe and lean as those some predatory cat willing to wait for the proper prey. It is a vigil that is soon rewarded as heightened olfactory nerve sense. Carbonizing steel, someone's melting metal, breaking in. Almost without conscience, though, he unsheathes the billy club at his side, pressing a hidden stud to send a high tensile grappling wire unreeling, allowing him to arc through the night like a silent soaring shadow. Goodness gracious. Oh, I love 70s. Comic books up until maybe the mid 80s had these overly descriptive stuff It's just beautiful now to reread it. It's just beautiful. You just don't see that anymore. I'm picking up heartbeats from several men, too slow, unconscious, and more from inside the building. One excited, scared, the other masked by some sort of energy field. It's got to be. Mahler, leave him alone. Stay out of this. Mahler has Cord here. I'm already in it, Mahler. I'm going to stay in until I can take you out. Let go, you meddler, as Mahler punches him. And Daredevil's like, oh, Mahler's strength boosted by that armor hits like a pile driver. Got to snap out of it. Cord is a cruel man, an evil man. He must suffer for what he's done. No, and Daredevil throws the billy club, tripping him. Maybe you weren't treated fairly, Soames, but being fired doesn't justify killing a man. Fired, is that what he told you? Fired? And he shows his face. Look at this face, man. Do I look like the kind of person who'd get himself fired? Your voice without the mask to muffle it. It sounds old. That's because I am old. 63 years old. 35 of them spent as a file clerk for Edwin Cord until he brought in a computer to do my job quicker and cheap. The big surprise came when I tried to collect my pension. Seems the young hotshot who programmed the new computer hit the wrong key and wiped out my entire 35-year record. I went to court about it, and you know what he did? He smiled and said, "Sorry, Soames, no record, no pension." And he smiled. I applied for Social Security, but the interviewer dozed off while I was trying to explain, so I spent the last of my savings on a fancy lawyer, and sure enough, he got me a court date, a year from next Thursday. That was when I stole this armor, figuring that it would give me the strength I needed to make court pay. The only thing you're going to be making, old man, is license plates. And Daredevil turns around and goes, what? Although he should have heard them coming. Drop the billy club, devil. He's like, more guards. And you, old man, raise your hand. Of course, happy to oblige. And he shoots away. He blasted the overhead lights. I can't see. Just close in and grab, idiot. They're in the same boat we're in. That's where you're wrong, friend. I live in darkness. It is my home. And he kicks. So, love this. Everyone's on black. And so they start fighting each other. And Daredevil's getting away. But I like that they're all in black and you can see Daredevil. I sense Mahler slipping away right after the heat from the lights stopped. I just hope I can find him before he finds Cord. Daredevil, you gotta help me. No one can help you, Cord. It's time for justice to prevail. Blast, there's no way I can cross the gap in time. Got to try a billy club throw and pray that. Hey, what are you doing with my wallet? I'm removing your life, Cord. I'm taking out your credit cards, bank cards, driver's license, all the petty plastic numbers that make your existence official. The numbers that you and your computer denied to me, I'm taking them out and killing them. So welcome to my world, Mr. Cord. Now you don't exist either. I don't think that's how it works, but okay. Love Janson doing the screen tones here. Just absolutely love it. And I have no further use for. He spotted us, Earl. Hit him with that vibranium mace, quick. That thing will stop an elephant. No, he isn't going to hurt anyone. Don't. And so he's like, don't shoot. And he uses the billy club. But they end up hitting the Mahler. Thanks anyway, Daredevil, but I guess it doesn't really matter now. Maybe it never did. And he drops dead. Cord, just a minute, Daredevil. I didn't do anything illegal. And if you think of reporting this incident, that armor was being developed for the government. To expose it to the public would be a breach of national security. It's the law. You understand that you don't? Yes, Mr. Cord, I understand the law and the need for national security, and I respect them both. And he just goes, looks at him and goes, what? Most of the time, as he just smacks him Epilogue. The dray is cold for summer, cold and gray, and few mourners have come to attend the funeral of Aaron Soames, a landlord, a distant cousin, and a tall, overcoated man who had stood off to one side as the eulogy had been read, the one who now approaches the freshly filled grave. He kneels, placing flowers before a stone marker donated by attorney Matthew Murdoch, then rises silently and turns away. While the grass nearby the wind of August afternoon whispers sadly and dies. And thus we end. What do you guys think? There is a short little backup to this that I'll go over, but I thought this is a pretty good story, so not bad for a fill-in issue. So this little backup story is Miller's very first writing attempt. So you see the police siren, and looks like they're chasing, and you see they're being shot back, and you see Murdoch listening to this. And his name is Matthew Murdoch, and he is blind. To the world at large, he is respected and admired as a man who has overcome his awesome handicap to become one of the nation's foremost attorneys at law. He's an inspiration to many, an example of how far one man can excel, but they don't know the half of it. Join us now as we explore the hidden secrets of Matt Murdoch, as we learn the secrets of the man called Daredevil. So this is essentially, this Dark Secrets is like how Daredevil works, meaning what he does. So Murdoch's Upper East Side brownstone is a veritable castle remodeled to accommodate his needs as a lawyer and as the man without fear. He has a personal art gallery containing countless sculptures and bas reliefs, things of beauty to be touched but never seen. And so the most extensive Braille library in the world, and a hidden soundproof gymnasium for countless hours of training toward physical perfection. You can see here that the thing opens so he can get out. To protect his secret identity, Daredevil leaves his brownstone through a disguised skylight exit by which he activates by stepping on an unmarked floorboard. Chick. And in his day to life, as Dee Dee's famous billy club is disguised as a blind man's cane, but whenever it is needed, the cane can be swiftly snapped into two sections, by each having a specific function in relation to his duties. The first containing a spring release mechanism which instantly straightens a curved cane, handled at the touch of a single stud. The second tap of the stud extends a length of 30-foot cable within the device to form a retractable roof-catching hook. The hook and cable devices enable Dee Dee to swing across distances too great to leap, increasing his speed and mobility through the city. The straightened cane handle can revert to its curved shape when Daredevil needs to hold onto the ledge or carry extra weight. So, you can see him basically grabbing the guy here. The remaining section of the Billy Club cane is a simple in design, and you can see the car there, and Daredevil throws it as a superbly balanced piece of steel reinforced wood, which Daredevil uses as both a truncheon and as a projectile he throws with consummate skill. It's beautiful. This little short story is just absolutely great. So great is Daredevil's skills with his billy club that it often seems to be alive. He never has to look to find it, but then he can't look as he dispatches the bad guys. However, the radioactive canister that permanently blinded young Matt Murdoch left him with senses far beyond those of normal men. He can touch a printed page and read it by feeling the vague impressions of ink. He can taste the exact number of grains of salt on a pretzel, smell the cordite trail of a recently fired pistol, though it be a block away. So he smells and you can see that it's coming. He can actually hear a man's heartbeat at a distance of 100 feet. But when these hypersenses are focused on a fleeting enemy, no matter how fast or far his prey may run, Daredevil cannot be eluded. The darkness is no hiding place. It is there that Daredevil is most dangerous. While we have eyes that are tricked by shadows and see nothing without light, Daredevil has an uncanny radar sense. Like a bat, he emits probing high-frequency waves. Love this panel there. Waves which break against any solid object and breaking send back signals audible only to Daredevil. From these signals, his brain instantly forms silhouetted images of everything around him. In this manner, he sees in every direction. But none of his amazing hypersenses would be enough without his clarity of thought, his faultless, nearly superhuman speed and coordination. Daredevil would be dead 100 times over. So he takes care of the last two. This is DD's greatest secret, his passion to strengthen his mind, his body to relentlessly hone his skills and abilities, his passion to be the very best. So, I hope you enjoyed it. Daredevil 167. Written by David Michelini / Michelini. Take your pick. Penciled by Frank Miller. Inked by Klaus, Janson. Starting next issue, which we will cover next week, Miller takes over as writer and penciler. Klaus Janson will continue doing the work with the inking, and he, I believe, takes over as colorist. And we get the first appearance of Elektra.